Hello everyone. Thank you for being so patient with like our technical issues. Yeah, and we are here today for the final lunch and learn, which is higher education relevant to the 21st century job market. Yeah, and now I would have Nat to do the acknowledgement of country for us.
Hello everyone. So we acknowledge that Murdoch University is situated on the lands of the Wajak and Binjara Puma people. We pay our respects to their enduring and dynamic culture and the leadership of the Noongar elders past and present. The Buja on which Murdoch University is located has for thousands of years been a place of learning, and we at Murdoch University are proud to continue this long tradition. So let's move to here.
Yep, so my name is Min. I am the project assistant of Launchpad, and Launchpad is basically a entrepreneurial and innovation hub of Murdoch University. Yeah, so we provide like industry connections and different kind of networking events and networking events and facilities and other sort of assistance to like our students. Personally, to me, like Launchpad is a vibrant and growing community of dedicated and passionate students. And I'm actually graduating from uni like pretty soon, and it is exciting, but I also feel like really anxious and overwhelming like a lot of times. So I feel like I'm not the only one who's like having all of like the I guess like overwhelmed by like the possibilities of like life after uni. So I invite my friends who I think is like doing incredible thing, very shortly after their graduations to come in and like reflecting on like education and also just to know more about like life after uni. So why don't you guys just introduce yourself to like the audience that we have
Yes.
here?
Hi everyone. I just first before I start talking, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land that we're meeting on today. Just to give a short introduction, my name's Rayhana. I'm just finished studying just recently, just before Min has. I have completed a Bachelor of Criminology and Global Security here at Murdoch. So I started all the way back in 2017, and it took me a little while to finish my degree, but that's just because I was making a few stops along the way and trying out different things. So currently, I'm actually working at Murdoch. I work in the Meet Murdoch team, so we work with future students in recruitment and like soft sales, I guess. So if ever one of you had called uni to study here, you might have heard me answer you on the phone. And at the moment, I'm also sitting in the Murdoch Senate, so I was elected to that because that's really just the board of directors for the university. And working with senior executives on I guess strategic governance sort of stuff. And the one last thing I guess that's going on for in my time right now is I'm actually hoping to go abroad in about a month. So I've got a New Colombo Plan scholarship to study in Korea and intern and also do the language over there. Obviously, I won't be studying because I've finished studying now. But yeah, I'm hoping to go over there for 9 months in the upcoming months. So I'll be gone for a while and then come back to Perth after that and probably start a graduate job up at Deloitte. So that's, I guess, what's happening for me now. In terms of interests and Denmark, is that as well? Yeah. Oh, interests. Okay. I guess what my interests kind of are quite broad ranging, but I would say I'm definitely interested, I guess, in that political science space as well as the international relations, as well as I guess diplomacy and throughout I guess the internships and stuff I've done, I've really developed also an interest and passion for sustainability. So I'll be obviously in my career and I guess the things that I'm doing in the upcoming future, it's definitely relevant to those areas. So I think that's just a brief introduction about me. Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Sean Puma, but a lot of people know me as Shim. Currently, I'm working as a risk consultant at RSM Australia, which I've been doing for the past 6 months. It's a graduate position. I was actually at Murdoch from 2016 to 2020, where I did a double degree in a Bachelor of Business in International Business and a Bachelor of Arts in Japanese. The reason why it took a while is because I got involved in a lot of I guess, extracurricular activities, such as the Murdoch Business Society, the Murdoch Japanese Society. I was also involved in MCEL 2020. Also, throughout my degree, I was actually awarded the opportunity to go to Japan to study on scholarship, where I guess that's where I broadened my mindset, and I guess started seeking a lot more opportunities outside of uni. In terms of my interests, I guess relating back to that aspect of like broadening my horizons, I really enjoy getting involved in community projects and engaging with a lot of people and focusing on like improving the community that I'm involved in.
So yeah, so because both of you have like really broad like interests, I really want to hear like a day in your life as like a young professional. So like just the audience know exactly what do you do.
Okay, I guess yeah. So yeah, I've been working at RSM for the past 6 months. I guess at first the transition was a bit, it was a bit of a transition to go from being a student to working at a full-time job. Normally my day involves, getting up at, I try to get up at, 5:40, but usually around 6. You keep myself regimented, have some breakfast, then make my way to the city, get to the office. First 30 minutes of the day, do some admin work, and then after that, I have my like day scheduled out, usually with the projects that I'm engaged in at the moment. Depending on what engagements I'm involved in, either I'm going to client offices or I'm just working internally with the team and we're running walkthroughs and things like that. Generally, it's not really like a behind the desk job. We're all usually like moving around and like engaging with people. But that usually it's report writing as well. Then you get like an hour break. You can spend time with your colleagues. You can go to a lot of places in the city, have some a lot of good lunch spots in the city actually. Then come back and do some work near the end of the day, and then depending on the day really, because I like to keep my day structured. Either I spend more time with my colleagues outside of work, so we either go for drinks, near the island at Elizabeth Quay, or we go for food, or I go home and go to the gym, and I just try to keep that work-life balance pretty separate. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'm actually not working full time in my career at the moment, but I have obviously interned and I've also interned in the private sector. So we actually have done similar jobs. Where I interned, so we both did risk advisory. So I'd say when I was working there, my day looked very similar to that. There's a big emphasis, I guess, in the day to life, like working with your mentors. So like especially in that, I guess, private sector, really, we'd always, I'd say every few days, engaging with like, I guess, a buddy or a senior mentor in the program, checking in with them, discussing progress. So like that's something that I really, I guess, noticed when I was in that, I guess, situation, really learning from those people and asking questions that you have and seeking that support. That was something that was definitely prominent in the day-to-day business. Something else I'd say, I guess, in my day-to-day life now. So right now I'm just working full-time at uni. So I guess in that day-to-day life, I come here to uni and either I'm in the student centre over there. I'm sure most of you have been there before, or I'm up in the office at the Curra building, answering calls, answering emails, Zoom calls, everything else like that. So just, I guess, for me right now is just really engaging with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and trying to, I guess, find solutions to their problems. We have a lot of international students coming in, so really trying to help them and from A to B and come up with an outcome. So I guess from all my experiences in full-time work, that's really what it is, really problem solving, taking those skills on, utilizing the networks around you and the mentors to, work as a team and achieve those outcomes. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your insight. So we also have a special guest with, not with us, not physically, because she's working very hard all the way from Jakarta. But I'll show you guys a brief recorded video of like, is that good?
Hi everyone in Perth. It is so nice to meet you guys, and I just would like to thank the amazing Murdoch Launchpad team that gathered us today and create this amazing event, and having me here tuning in from Jakarta, Indonesia, on this amazing opportunity to talk a bit about my experience as a recent graduate currently working in a professional setting. Although I wish that I could be with you guys today in Launchpad, but hopefully the COVID-19 restriction can be eased down and I can hop in a plane and be there in Perth. But yeah, before we moved on and talk a bit about my experience, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Junita Natania. You can call me June, you can call me Junita, whatever you like. But I just graduated from Murdoch University in September 2021 last year majoring in strategic communication and global media and communication, or GMAC. Now, currently, I'm working full time as a public relations associate, specializing in client experience at Weber Shandwick and Golin, Jakarta. Just a little backstory about what I did. I am currently working with different sectors and with a different intensity required every day as a PR agency professional. For tech and lifestyle, I'm currently working for Tinder Indonesia, and for corporate banking and day-to-day banking, I'm handling MasterCard Indonesia, and for health and government sector, I'm currently working with AstraZeneca. My day started quite early, as mornings as the busiest for me. I start at 7:30 and I do a bit of media monitoring across various sectors, and just after that, constant meetings, back to back internally with teams as well as external teams. I also have to make sure that all my tasks are complete, whether it's a brief doc, presentation decks, writing the content, and as simple as it is, translating documents from English to Bahasa, which is our national language, is pretty hard as well. Sounds a bit much, but because working in an agency, you can actually work remotely, and also you can change between different accounts every now and then. So let's say I work in Tinder 7 a.m. and then I want to work for healthcare sector, which is AstraZeneca's in 2 p.m. I can just switch immediately as I please, and I just work my way through it throughout the day. And the time went by so fast in a fast-paced environment like this. Pretty much that's what I work at and what my day looks. Obsessed with binge watching and just keeping myself up to date with the latest trend. Also, I quite enjoy eating good food and hanging out with my friends, which is most of them are in Perth right now. So that's pretty much all about me. If you want to ask questions and know me a bit more, you can actually connect with me through LinkedIn or follow me through my socials, Jean Tanzania.
Yep. Right. So moving on to the next question. So yeah. So thank you again for sharing your experience with working in the professional settings. Um, so I guess I'm very curious. Like, what is the difference between like being like a full-time student and being like like a professional, and like do you have any advice for students who are like to smoothen the transition a little bit?
Yeah, you can start.
So I think I can definitely relate to what Min was saying. With that, I guess that fear that you might have before graduating. I definitely went through a period back last year, because I did finish my studies last year, early last year, about March, where I swear I was like, I'm having a quarter life crisis. Like, what am I doing? Like, I've spent all this time at uni. Like, I've done all these internships. I've done all this leadership. I've done all this volunteer experience, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going, like what I'm doing. Like at that time, I was applying for like multiple grad jobs at a time, and like, I was applying for things in Canberra because that was like what I thought, was the pathway for me, especially from my background. I thought, I'd have to end up in the public service in Canberra, and like I got like to some stages in those, but a few of them fell through, and like I guess like I'd had in my mind this was where I was going and this is how I'd end up, and that didn't pan out for me. So it was very challenging at that time. So I think what I did at that time, I really had to just stop and like reflect and I guess pull myself together and really just decide like what can I do now? Like I need to stop putting pressure on myself to find something right here, right now, and just what is in front of me, what doors are open right now that I can go through. So in that time last year, I actually did multiple things that I would never have expected like that I would do. So that was when I joined the Senate. I got elected to that a few months later. I also was then awarded the internship at the Minderoo Foundation. So that was a research-based internship working in modern slavery. And then following that, I went to Deloitte. So I would never have planned to do any of those things. I never had that in my mind, but it was just, taking stock of what was in front of me and making sure to follow those opportunities. And like from there, things have panned out. I have a job offer from Deloitte, I am now about to go abroad because the border restrictions have eased. So I know it can be very, daunting at one point, when you think, oh, I'm about to graduate, I don't have anything. But yeah, it's just really, calming down. I know a lot of people who have graduated and taken 6 months and then they've actually found a job that they that's in your mind, or like, have this dream job at the very end of it, because there's so many different ways to get where you want to go. So like, take advantage of like the different opportunities that are there. I know that doesn't really answer the question, but I do have a little bit more to say. I guess when obviously working full time in industry, you will, when you eventually get there, find that it is very tiring. We both agree with that. I guess for me, when I was at uni, I didn't really have much of a routine or structure apart from working. So I would sleep at random hours and wake up whenever I need to. So something I would say is try to really, organize yourself, get a sleep routine or a schedule going, because that can be challenging, especially when I rocked up in the workplace after a few weeks and I was so tired, I was almost falling asleep at my desk. Something else I would say that you might notice is obviously like when you come into like an organization as a uni student, you're obviously the most probably inexperienced, you're the youngest person in the team, and sometimes you will feel out of your depth, and it is not necessarily an even playing field. You don't have that knowledge or experience, but really, I guess in that when you're feeling those things and in those times, is reaching out to those mentors, those buddies, those support networks, even if they don't have formal ones at the organisation you're at. Just reaching out to colleagues and asking, do you mind if you're my mentor? I'd like to get some advice and support, just so you don't have to go through that alone. I think something else I would say is, there is obviously, if you're working full time, you don't have that flexibility that you would have had at uni. So, really just having that organized structure. You end up though utilizing your free time better. I know that like when I was at uni, I had a lot of issues procrastinating and wasting time. But I found like when I was working full time, like every evening I'd have like friends to see or family to see, and then like on the weekend you'd utilize that time so well. Um, and I think another thing is it's such a relief knowing you don't have to go home and do an assignment, unless you're like Shim, where you have to study for your CA. But yeah, no, it's really good not having that weight of assignments for sure. And I think in terms of my two main tips is obviously, yeah, get yourself a sleep schedule, prepare your lunch before, otherwise you end up spending a lot of money when you're in the office, unless you're obviously doing team lunches and all that. And sometimes we just forget to eat. Honestly, when you're working full time, you're that busy, like, and things just keep going on. You just sometimes forget to eat, which is obviously not healthy. So prepare your lunch. And then the other thing I would say is, yeah, don't worry about your experience. Look to and utilize mentors at all levels, so junior, mid-level, and senior, because obviously they're going to reflect different parts of your career journey. So the junior ones will be able to relate to the experience that you're going through because they've just gone through it. The mid-level will have more of an idea of where you might want to end up in 5 years, and then the senior are just an overall view of the organization and whether in the future what the I guess changes will be and whether that's something you're interested in. So yeah, I'd say that's a general view.
Pretty much everything she said. Yeah, so yeah, when I left uni, obviously, yeah, there was that fear because I didn't really have anything lined up. My plan was initially to go to Japan and find a job there. I had something lined up. Unfortunately, that fell through because of COVID and the issues with like migrating over there and things like that. So yeah, my dream job didn't exactly go to plan. However, like she said, I looked at what I had. I kind of like took stock, based on the experiences that I had throughout uni, being on the business society, working at MCell and things like that. I did have like areas in like, problem solving, and I guess that sort of aligns to consulting. Then from there, I actually went to Curtin because I realized that, I needed more time, and that's completely okay. You don't need to rush yourself. I think that's the number one, I guess, not issue, but a number one thing that a lot of people do is like tend to rush themselves. Like, you're still young. Like, I know when you hit like 23, 24, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm getting old and things like that. You have a quarter life crisis, but you have a lot of time, like retrospectively, like you've got your whole life ahead of you. You just need to, take a step back, take stock, make sure that you know that you're comfortable with everything that you're doing, and look at the career that you want to take. I guess that's the most important piece of advice I can take. I can give. But yeah, bar that, when I was doing the job hunting as well, I guess like that's where the transition like started to happen. I was also working part time on the side. I was studying at Curtin as well, and then doing that job hunting sort of put that time management and scheduling into perspective where, get up in the morning, do what I need to do, file off some applications, go to work, do my studies, come home, file off some more applications, and just getting that routine down is like key, because as soon as you start, working full time, that's it. You got to get up in the morning, get to commute to the office, get all your engagements or whatever projects you're on like handled within that time, or whatever you need to do within that day, and then you need to have that balance between work and like keeping it at work, and then having your own time. Otherwise, you're just going to get burnt out really quickly.
Thank you for that. So yeah, so I guess we moving to like a bit more like a spicy part. So I'm no, but yeah. So I want to know like what does education means to you guys, and yes, it's just like what sort of like value or purpose that you were hoping to like get out of like uni. So yeah, who wants to go
I
first?
guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
So I think education is, or at uni in particular, is what you take from it and how you use that in the outside world. Like in class, you can only learn so much, and your lecturers and tutors, they're only going to teach you so much. It's about how you apply what you learn within that classroom, like outside. So you'll learn a lot of like technical skills, and that's great. Like that's really good. And make sure you have like those like secure, like you understand what you're talking about within like your respective field. However, you got to learn how to add like those soft skills to that as well. And I guess you need to sort of, this is probably more or less in like consulting and like professional services, but like build your own brand. That's like really key, like understanding what value and impact you're going to give to an organization. Because a lot of the time when you do go to these interviews, it's going to be like, well, what do you bring to us? Like, what's unique about you? That's a lot of questions. That's why a lot of the time they ask you like, what are your interests outside of like work and things like that? Because they want to see that uniqueness, right? So I guess in short, like education is what you take from it. It's how you can apply that outside. So I guess in my experience, my degree was in international business and Japanese, and that's completely different to what I'm doing right now as a job. However, I was on the business society. I engaged in actually like hackathons and pitching contests here to sort of like build that aspect of soft skills, like presenting and being able to do just-in-time learning and things like that, being able to be quick and adaptable. That's all key components to my job, which are like essential. And then sort of like building that and like adding like a sort of like brand, like my own element to it, and then pitching that to employers. That's I guess what was key. So yeah, so definitely focus on what you apply outside of the classroom.
Right.
I think education obviously like in a formal context is the content you learn and the things you learn at uni, but like Sham said, like in an informal context, it's the skills you pick up, the habits you develop, the beliefs and values that you end up aligning with and driving you forward in your future. So I would say I definitely agree with everything you've said. I think education in that like really formal aspect where you come to uni and you do the assignments, you do your units, you complete the coursework. That's so important for developing your your specific interest in that area, and developing those specific knowledge. But like Shab said, the skills that you grow alongside that, the teamwork from working in group projects and in workshops. That's part of education. The skills you develop in public speaking, or even networking with your peers, building those friendships and relationships that end up lasting. The relationships you build with stakeholders. So if you are engaged in clubs or societies at campus, what's important there is working with executive in the guild, or other leadership members around campus. Say you need to market to international students, connecting with the international advisors at uni. So there's all those different, I guess, soft skills, like Shab said. And the other thing I think that you touch on, I think personally through my experience of like education in the university context, like definitely like my values and beliefs have strengthened or even shifted, because I was exposed to so many different types of people. Like the diversity at Murdoch is is wonderful. So you have people, mature age students. You have students, so many international students here. We have people from such diverse ethnic backgrounds. So it really, it emphasizes and shapes like the things that you're passionate about, and that's, I guess, what I have taken from my educational
Yeah,
experience.
thank you for that. Yeah, so you guys both touched down on the fact that like uni doesn't begin or like not just uni but just education doesn't begin or end with the classroom.
No.
Yeah, so yes, I want to know more like from your personal experience, so like beyond like lectures and
Mhm.
assignments and stuff, what was like the experience that you had back in uni that really influenced your career now? You know, it could be like internships, like
Yeah, sure.
club societies.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to-
Yeah.
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 So I'd say just before I go into that, in terms of that, back to the education part, you also keep learning in the workplace. Like education doesn't stop once you leave uni. So there are so many programs, especially in like professional services, where they're always wanting you to continue studying. A lot of the time, they facilitate that. They pay for your further education. They pay for you to do training courses, and they really encourage that desire to continue learning. So that's something that you will find depending, obviously, the field you go in. But most places, regardless, if you're not professional services, everywhere that I've heard of, they want people to continue their education formally and informally in the workplace. Back to the things I think at uni that really influenced my experience would probably be, well, the very first thing I think for me when I was in second year, I was quite a fresh uni student. I didn't really know what I was doing. I went abroad, so I went abroad to the US for a year. So that was kind of my catalyst, I think, for everything that I did, because that was a hugely like pivotal experience for me as a 19-year-old, moving abroad, never having lived out of home. Obviously, very privileged to not have had to live out of home before then, and living in another country, and taking on that responsibility. That was obviously a huge like experience for me. And when I came back, it really changed the way I approached uni, and like I guess the way I was handling myself. So I think before I went abroad, I didn't really have any friends at uni. I'd come and like, I think some people have experienced this, I don't know, but I'd come to uni, do my classes, and go home, and I didn't feel connected to the campus. I wasn't involved in many things. And I was kind of sad, to be honest. Like because I was used to like at school where everything was so easy. Your friends are there in front of you every day, and like having to come here, and like I was quite young when I started. I was 17, so I was really just like I was quite out of my depth. So after coming back from exchange, like I really like made sure I put myself in a mindset of like, you need to put yourself out there, even if it's uncomfortable, because that's what I had to do on exchange, like in order to make friends. So I came back, I got involved in the student guild. I did my very first internship then with local government in Mandurah. So those were then the catalyst for me to go on and do all the other things I've done. So after that happened, I then, continued my studies. I went and ran for guild again. I then went from there to the Senate. After my first internship, I actually did a full month internship, three months at the federal police. So that was obviously because it was relevant to my degree. I ended up finding that wasn't like to my interests. So then after that, I applied for another internship with the US consulate, which ended up getting cancelled because of COVID. So that was something else. COVID had a huge, I think, impact on a lot of people, like your opportunities, your degree. Like you weren't able to go abroad. I wasn't able to go abroad. So like you really had to be really adaptable and resilient in that circumstance. So that was a huge setback for a lot of people. But it was what I guess you then made of it in that situation. So from there, because I had that scholarship to go to Korea, I couldn't go. So I ended up, doing that internship with the Mindaru and then Deloitte. So like, I think at the end of the day, it only takes one thing to like start off your journey, and it doesn't matter what that is. Like I also did clubs, I did. I work here now at Murdoch, but I wouldn't have had any of those opportunities if I hadn't just done that one thing. And the one thing for me was, studying abroad. But for you, it might not be. It might be, joining a club, organizing events in that club. For Min, Min ran for guild, and then from there, they're now here running Launchpad. So it's just one thing, and taking advantage of those different opportunities that are there.
Yeah, thank you, right?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So I started uni at 17, fresh out of high school, and then I just did my classes, went home, didn't really talk to anyone, played Counter Strike. That was it. That was my life. And then and then I realized through my Japanese degree that they had the opportunity to go on exchange. Although it was only in my final semester, they actually pushed it back because if you actually do perform in your units as well, like lecturers will notice, like the unit coordinators will notice, they'll see your effort and or like the quality of your work as well, and then opportunities will be given to you. So definitely do try hard in your studies. As much as we say everything outside of university counts as well. Then again, just reflecting on what she said, going on exchange, that definitely like just took me right out of my comfort zone. I had never lived alone, especially in a foreign country like Japan where no one speaks English. Well, I mean, it's not as harsh as you think. Like, there were people in my dorm who did speak English, but a lot of the people outside of like the dorm I was in, yeah, people didn't speak English, and their culture is just so completely different. Yeah, and you just have to learn how to adapt quickly, otherwise you might just fall behind, right? Because you only got a year there. So yeah, I took the most of that opportunity to just grow myself as a person, become more confident, deliberately put myself in situations that made me feel uncomfortable, not in a bad way, but just like just things that I wouldn't normally do at Perth, in Perth, sorry. Then when I came back, I actually just saw all the opportunities that were actually available at Murdoch, because I was just living that kind of sheltered, like sort of like uni life. So yeah, then at that point I joined the Murdoch Business Society. I joined as a marketing executive. I tried helping out and like facilitating growth based on the things that I've seen in Japan, because they have like a massive club, I guess, culture there at their universities. Then I also participated in hackathons here. One was with Schneider Electric in the Launchpad, where that was mainly geared towards engineering students. But as a business student, I have no like knowledge of engineering. I actually failed physics in high school, so I was completely out of my depth. But I used that opportunity to see what I could use within my capacity to sort of like help our team succeed. I also did a pitching contest with the Murdoch Business Society prior to my involvement with them, pitching an idea for an app for the university. Again, trying to like push my business skills out there to see how much I can grow. And yeah, then I joined MCEL 2020. I think that I'm not sure if that's still at Murdoch at the moment.
Yes.
MCEL, yeah, definitely join that if you can. It's kind of like an internship. You work with an MPO, and with this MPO, you basically work on a project and help them grow like an aspect of their organization. So that's a good, I guess, area to work on like your teamwork and project management, and it gives you opportunities for leadership. Then yeah, that was pretty much it. So more or less, like, that was the trigger for me to like continually push myself. But I understand, like, in the capacity right now due to COVID and things like that, going abroad might be like quite difficult at the moment. I'm not sure, like, depending on the countries, the restrictions might be quite hard. I know Japan's borders are still closed if you still want to go there. However, I think the point we're trying to make is try and put yourself in a scenario that's going to like push you out of your comfort zone and do something that's going to like challenge you.
Definitely.
Yep. So just be mindful of the time limits. We kind of over the time a little bit. So just the next question, if you can just make it more succinct. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So as young professionals and like soon to be young professionals, I feel like it's very important to address like the disruption and changes in terms of technology. So yeah. So do you guys, I don't know, like foresee any sort of disruptions in your industry in the future, and do you think that you need to prepare you for these kind of like changes or disruption at all?
I think in my industry, or sort of like risk consulting, it really depends on, I guess, what you're studying at the moment. Because my risk consulting, like, well, in my organization, they're hiring everyone. So, well, not everyone. They're hiring people like with different disciplines, because they realize there's a lot of value with people who study different things, because they can bring a lot to the organization. And just having that different perspective when you're looking at like a client that you're auditing, may provide more value than someone who's just done, accounting and finance, right? So there's that in terms of like that, what you learned in the classroom. Sorry, what was the question again?
So it's about like disruption.
All right. Yeah, so I guess disruption and change within the, like, I guess the industry you want to go in, you do have to keep up within the news. Yeah, your lecturers and your tutors may know, and they may be able to advise you, and they may drop things here and there within your classes, but definitely I think you yourself need to commit yourself to that time to like research about it and make sure that you understand like what's relevant within the field you want to enter.
Yeah. Right.
I think, yeah, if talking about the professional services and like risk advisory, because I've also done that, I even asked the partners in the organisation when I was there, what do you see like foresee in the future? And they just said to me, this industry is rapidly changing. We're very innovative, and we try to evolve before like changes even occur. So like a huge thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure Sham has as well, is like a huge rise in the sustainability and like climate focus in risk advisory. So I'm sure you're all aware of how that is a huge global issue now, and they're taking that into account in a business context. So there will always be disruptions in that sense. The development of technology, health is a huge area as well. So all these areas will just continue to evolve and change. I think in terms of, I guess, my interest and where I'm kind of at, so I guess with politics and stuff, personally, I do see, in the future, foreseeable future, a lot of geopolitical shifts, power plays going on, especially with our near, like Indo-Pacific neighbours. As I don't know if many of you are interested in that, but the Pacific Islands, like for example, Solomon Islands and the China Security Pact, there'll be much more of that going on. So it's, in my opinion, in the near future, is how they, I guess, train the graduates that come through and the employees to, develop the skills to network and handle those sort of issues that will keep coming up. And I think one other thing I'd say at uni, I guess, is higher education preparing us to like deal with these changes, these new emphases, these global conflicts that might be coming. And I'd say yes, and yes, not completely, but yes. I guess the skills that uni teaches you, that critical thinking skills will really help you in any career you go into to, think of innovative problem-solving solutions, and it will prepare you. And then I guess something that I think unis could do better, and higher education is, like particularly for my area, would be emphasising, the importance of a foreign language. I think a lot of, even Murdoch could take heed of that. Even not even just in politics, even in the business sector, because global interaction is growing and it will continue to. So if more offerings of different languages, especially Mandarin, would be really useful. And even any student, in regardless of what field, having, or depending where you want to work, obviously, but like having a foreign language will always be an asset, especially in this future economy and whatnot.
Thank you. Yeah, so just for the sake of the conversation, kind of comes back in full circle. Yeah, so just reflecting on like what you guys have discussed so far and your own like uni experience as well. Like, how would you respond to like the main topic that we have here today? Like, do you think like higher education is relevant to the job market in the 21st century still?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. It's half and half. I think with higher education, it's definitely what you put into it. You really need to, commit yourself to learning all those technical skills and things like that. Because if you don't put the effort in your classes, like when you go out into the workplace and you get asked like fundamental questions, you're not really gonna know. You're not gonna really be able to bring like the 3, 4, 5 year experience into your, future working life. However, it's also how you bring that outside the classroom as well while you're at university. So you really need to use university as a platform to sort of network, build your connections, and build your soft skills as well as your technical skills and experience as much as possible. That's pretty much how I view it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I agree completely with that. That's what I wrote here as well. So, like, really, like, to me, uni is where you develop those skills. It's where you build those networks, develop those relationships, learn how to interact with stakeholders. And you also build those, like, teamwork skills. You get that appreciation of diversity and, like, the emphasis of, like, diverse thought and opinion and how that will, impact work. So, I guess like it is a hard question because like technically people can go into industry without a qualification. You don't necessarily need it if you are the sort of person who has the ability to build skills. But I think in modern society and in the society that we now live in, like it really is a prerequisite, to have that degree. But I guess the difference is like you can go to uni, just get that degree, and then head out and try and go into the workforce, or you can go to uni, get that degree, and do all these other things and like build yourself, build your reputation, build your resume. So then you're getting more than a degree. Like I know that sounds so cliche, but like you're getting all those other experiences, so you kind of know what you want, where you're going. But yeah, I think obviously as we've seen in the industry now, like undergraduate degree, even some places a master's is like a requirement to get in. But obviously, like uh, if that's like an issue, like building like if say you're not the best academically, is building all those other experiences so you can use those and draw upon those as your experience when you're going to job interviews. And yeah, really at the end of the day, what I have noticed from my own experiences is yes, like you can be good academically, yes, you can do all these extra things, but it's the networks you build from doing those things that will get you where you want to go at the end of the day. Like if you can make a good impression and like have good sustainable relationships with people, there'll be things that come from that. Like, for example, one of the internships I did, they recently had a job opportunity, and they actually just reached out directly to me and they said, we have this, we're going to be hiring, would you like to submit an application? And obviously I couldn't because I'm going abroad, but that's the thing. If you're able to build those and maintain those relationships, you will see opportunities come up for yourself.
Thank you. So yeah, so we're just gonna, because we also have another video of June sharing her response to the question as well. So just gonna play.
So uni. I think personally education is very important. If not for me personally, it's one of the most important things that I can think right now. I am lucky to have a family that's very supportive of my studies, and they told me to reach for the stars, and I believe that I can, and you can as well. Everyone in class, I feel like you can reach for the stars. Um, well, the first step you already done, which is going through uni, which is a great way to get that sort of education. But it's not stopped there, and it's not limited to just whatever written in the book or whatever written in the research paper. It's also the ability to gain a set of knowledge that I said before. Um, Critical thinking, some understanding of the world, uh, problem solving, team leadership, and all of the sort of things that you can't actually have it to yourself. You have to sort of improve it in a community settings, in uni settings. During your studies, you can actually argue, play with ideas. You can also discriminate between which one is good, which one is bad, which one does you agree on, which one that you are not pretty much not on board on, and it's totally up to you. There is no wrong answers if it's an opinion, obviously. Um, so I feel like it is a very important subject, and I think that having in uni, having to study 3 years during my uni years was a very valuable lesson for me, because not only I can actually get more knowledge from people, from my lecturers, from my peers, but I also get sort of social skills that I never knew that I had before. I get to meet a lot of new people. I get to be friends with amazing, amazing lecturers and friends that I never had back if I was in Perth, and I became more, becoming more myself, I'd say. So I think it is a very important way for me to know myself a bit more.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So just again, like I want to have like a quick like Q&A. If anyone have any questions that you want to ask the panelists. Yes, please.
You said that you took a lot of opportunities while at uni. How did they come about, and where did you find them? Or did you just do the awkward, I need to do this, let me find the person I need to contact, or did they come to you, I guess?
I guess just being on campus for starters, because like at the time, that's when the pandemic hit, when I did a lot of like that activity as well. Just being on campus and like it just sort of like came by like through like I guess the societies I was involved in as well. Like people talk, and that's why we say networks are important, because as soon as you like build a network, you can get all this information, and then you just go, that seems interesting. I'll just go ahead and join that and just put myself out there.
I think something that we didn't, I guess, mention, because I guess we both maybe had the privilege to be at uni or have that spare time. I know that there are a lot of people that come to uni that have families or they work full time, and not everyone has the time or capacity to be here and do this and, do an unpaid internship. Like, you might not have that ability. So I guess, like, in that situation is really just utilizing what you can. So, for example, if it is joining a club, obviously most of you would know on Thursdays they do something called market days, and at the very beginning of each semester they have like a festival day where all the clubs come out. So that's a really good time to go and like see the clubs that are relevant to your field, because every field will have, most likely will have a club, and if not, you can always create one. That's what I did in second year, I actually started a club, which was an interesting experience. But that through that you'll be able to like meet people, and there will be opportunities. So like for example, we have a criminology society. The criminology society worked with the academic chairs in criminology, so they would then know like about if there were WA police coming in to talk, they would know about the job opportunities coming up. They'd be the first to know. They'd know if there were internship opportunities coming up. Business society, they would have connections with the business school, so they would know, what internships and vacation programs are coming up. MSLS, Law Society, they have connections with all the law society, so they would know about the clerkships when they open, all that. So I wouldn't say that the opportunities come to you. You do have to go and look. So going to those clubs first is a really good place to start, and then from there, once you've got that experience, you can then go into mentoring. You can volunteer mentor. You can do volunteer work. You do the leadership program, MSL.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you do want to study abroad, they always have, the study abroad office always has like small programs that teach us all that sort of stuff. So it is, looking into it. And if you are struggling to find those like networks and connections, I think there used to be a careers team. I know that they don't exist anymore, but there is online. You can.
So it's
Yeah.
part of Launchpad.
Oh, it's part of Launchpad. Okay.
If you follow us on our socials, we advertise all the vacation programs, all the sort of when we have employers, and we've had employer drop-in sessions.
Yeah.
We've got Launchpad Academy next semester for anyone who wants to start a movement or develop an innovation or a business. Student change agents as well.
Yeah.
So we advertise all that stuff. So it's just really a case of following us on all our socials and just keeping an eye out for it.
I would say there's time for one more question. If anyone have any burning questions that you want to ask Ray and Shin.
You both studied abroad. What was the hardest thing you had to do studying? Not necessarily from an education perspective, just anything. What's the hardest thing?
The hardest thing about studying, or just like one of the most strange things that happen, like or weirdest things in the experience? You want to go
There's
first?
a lot of weird things that happen.
Honestly, so
I've got
many.
the opportunity there, so I want to know.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stories, but I don't think we have time. But I would say the hardest thing is just settling in. Like, I don't want to sound like a TikTok video, but taking the first step is always the hardest. But then the following steps, they're easier. I think it's just like we said, just put yourself out there and see how it goes. And yeah, just adapting to that environment, like something that's completely different where you don't know anyone. I think ideas of like isolation and feeling alone, like definitely do like hit when you go to like a foreign country. As soon as you land in the airport, you're just like, oh wow, I don't know anything here. I don't know anyone, right? I'm so far away from my family. But yeah, just I guess take that first step.
I think for me, one of the most challenging and hardest things was, I guess, having to just organize and keep everything together, like for a whole year, like in a foreign country, like you're living out of one or two suitcases. Like you won't believe it. My phone broke, my laptop broke. Like I was in the middle of exam seasons, like a water spilled on my laptop, and it sat in it overnight. I didn't even know, and then like I had to rewrite like a 4,000 word essay like 3 times, like because I forgot to upload it to the cloud. But like there are just so many things that happen, and like you don't have the support of like family. You have friends obviously there, like you build really strong friendships, but like I literally went to the Apple store. This is so sad, and like they wouldn't like replace my phone because it was under warranty, but because it's Australian warranty, they wouldn't like replace it there. So like I had to get my like a phone shipped over. So like there's just a lot of things like that you'll find challenging, and like even like making sure the units match up. Like for exchange, you have to make sure they match up with the units. Like back here, that was so hard.
I'm struggling with it at the moment.
Oh, it's hard. It's really hard. But like at the end of the day, you just need to try and like appeal to your academic chair, because like they say like you get this list and you think, oh, like I can do this unit, like, but then you get to the uni and they're like, oh no, we're not offering that unit, or that class is full. So like you really have to like adapt, and like it's just going in when you're on campus, meeting the teacher, saying, look, I'm exchange student, I don't have any other options, I need to do this, and just navigating those challenges as they come. But I think something else, like I was actually in the US for a year, and like I was kind of like towards the south, so it's very conservative down there, and we had like some serious challenges. Like I had to evacuate campus because we had like a hurricane, so I had to fly out to California. We had like armed people come on campus like with guns, because like obviously like it's legal, like it's public, so like we had to lock down, like we had a water crisis, like so there are so many things that you will have a lot of challenges, but it's making sure you have the support team around you, and just reaching out to people and getting that help if you need it.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for that. And that's the end of our discussions. So thank you for participating in all like the events so far that we put out this semester. And yeah, and all the best luck for exams and assignments as well. And then we're gonna have like a post sessions networking with Ray and Jim, and we have some goodies here if you guys want to hang around and just come up with these guys and ask them personal questions that you're a bit too shy to ask them. But thank you.
Just before we finish, I just want to thank everyone in the Launchpad team, especially Min. This is your last session, so a bit emotional. But yeah, thank you for having us today.
Thank you
we
so
really
much.
appreciate it.
No worries, guys.
And thank you all for coming as well.
Right.
Thank you.